Good evening, folks. First, an announcement. Unfortunately, there was a major fire somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, as a result of which, unfortunately, Firefly has had to make a quick rendezvous with Thunderbird 2 to get to the scene of the action, so he will not be with us. However, I am going to be ably supported, as ever, by the lovely lady Arwen Avalon.
Hey, y'all. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Monster of the week, Dad Man Walking.
Hey, Colin. Hey, chat and viewers. How are y'all tonight?
We have another guest. I'm feeling severely outnumbered, so I expect to see lots and lots of my fellow Brits in the chat because I'm thoroughly outnumbered at the moment. Because not only am I outnumbered, I'm outnumbered from a certain section of America as well. Because our other guest tonight is Mark the Infinitely.
Have you thought about putting oxygen back in that back room, man? I can't breathe.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Thanks.
Good evening. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go down the chat if I can. Zach's starting the wrong end of the alphabet. I like that. Good evening, Louise. Good evening, Louise. And I saw Jim the Viking. Good evening. And our patroness, Purple Valkyrie. And good afternoon, Mrs. Dadman, Chris, Zax. Don't think there's anybody I missed there.
Did
but
you say Miss Louise?
I did say Louise. I did mention Louise. I hope I mentioned Louise. I'm geographically challenged at the moment. Remember, I come from the 14th century and we've never even heard of this weird island across the Atlantic. The Atlantic's the end of the world as we're concerned, so don't ask me to understand things like time zones and being in America and the like.
Right.
Even better. Okay. Thank God for that. I have backup.
Purple!
I have
Hey, Purple.
Hey.
Thought I'd pop in and give Colin some support. Bless him.
Well, now Purple's like a big personality, so she counts twice. So now we're even, right?
That's right. That's right. You're in three.
Definitely.
Hey guys, how is everybody?
Good.
Doing fine. How are you tonight?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well. Just finished work, so I'm going to relax for the rest of the evening.
Exactly.
I'm still trying to figure out if yesterday actually happened or not. I'm still under the impression that it did not, even though Chris Burgess told me it did.
Oh, it happened, Mark. It happened.
Dear God.
I was there.
Oh, dear God.
I'm sure it's been clipped.
Well, enough about me. Let's go on with the show.
Well, okay. I have a little surprise for y'all.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
No, what? What the hell? Mark? All right, I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna see. So you gotta tell me. Hi, y'all.
Oh my God.
Hey,
gorgeous.
I have a camera. Yeah. This is God, I can adjust this thing. See, I'm not even used to it yet. This was sent to me by one of my precious co-hosts, Brightest Day from Pegasus Actual. And I've been too damn chicken shit to use it, to be honest with you. But I was like, nope, I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to do it. So, hey, y'all, it's me.
Oh, you look amazing.
Hey, y'all.
Thank you. My messy couch. And you may see some cats. Like there's one right there. There's one, I think, back there. Sometimes they'll try and walk across the keyboard. So y'all get to see.
I want to see the cats do destruction. I want to hear all the stuff we've heard in the background before. I want to see them jump on you, knock the glasses down. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I know.
There's run past like Beauty and the Beast.
They're famous.
The cat knocks over a can on the back, and anyway.
Yeah, you probably will. I've got the door open. I don't have them locked out because there's too many in here right now, and I'm like, it's when you get two and you try and put them out. Well, when you open the door, 5 come in, and then it's like in and out. So I said, to hell with it. Everyone knows I've got freaking cats out the ass. So they're here. They're part of my house. Here we go.
Where's the infamous table that gets knocked down that sounds like a suit of armor falling every time you're on Mondays?
Oh, that's out in the hallway.
Okay.
That's out in the hallway. And the one that I run into, that's right here. So yeah, y'all are seeing all of my life. Anyway,
We're missing the accent and the off the shoulder top demand a green screen with Tara or something similar in the background.
with what in the background?
Tara or something suitably anti-bully set.
Honestly, I thought he said tar, and I was trying to put that one together. I was like,
I did too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hey, that'd be a
I think it was
tar and
Tara.
feathers.
I've never actually seen the film, but the other thing is that Tara is also, if I remember right, one of the centres of royalty in early medieval Ireland was Tara as well. So
ooh,
I think that's Tara.
I kind of like
could
that
be
idea.
wrong.
But anyway, so hey. This is weird. I'm the only one on camera now. I can see all
So
y'all's
there you go. So
avatars.
there you go. That's it. Our big reveal for tonight. The lovely Owen Avalon.
you don't want me turning on the camera right now, so we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, Mark, I've seen you when you haven't thought the camera was on, lounging in your boudoir, and it's like, Mark.
That was an interesting. That was a very interesting sight. I thought I went blind.
It's like, do you know the camera's on? He's like, no, it's not. We're like, we can see you in all your glory, lounging on your bed.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That was one of those moments. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
let's go away from that. We don't talk
Why?
about
I want to talk more about your fabulous debut last night singing. That was such a great job.
That's a different story for a different day.
But it was awesome. I mean, Mark,
you do it.
Yeah, you were like, I mean, you had that accent down like a New Yorker or something. That was like, or gangster like. That was pretty cool.
That wasn't a debut. That was a debut duetting. And I was told it was Islands in the Stream, and I was going to be Dolly Parton. Josh was going to be Kitty Roberts.
Oh my god!
I was all prepared to be Kid Dolly Parton, but it got screwed up at the last second.
Oh my god!
Good evening, Shane. Who just joined us.
Hey, Shane.
Now I desperately want to see Mark with the big blonde wig. That would be amazing.
And a couple of assets. Yeah.
Dolly Parton, the biggest trio in country and western.
Anything.
God.
Anything. You got the biggest part right, but anything can be arranged. I mean, you never can tell.
Wow.
You'll have to film it though.
I'm not gonna dress up in the dress. Get your hopes down, Dad. Man, it ain't gonna happen.
You weren't closing the door on it. It sounded like you were opening the door wider.
Dad, man. Dad, man.
Mark, if you want to do Islands in the Stream, I will sing Islands in the Stream with you.
All right, there you go, Mark. You can't say no now.
Mark, I have a blonde wig you can borrow.
You're still gonna have to be Dolly though. I'll be Kenny.
Exactly.
We can do this. We can do
There
this.
you go.
Oh, I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gender swapped island.
The approved gender swap.
Colin, you don't know what I sing during these, especially if I've been drinking or something like that. It gets better the drunker I get, but I have been known, and I did it last night, to break out into Shania Twain and sing "Man, It Feels Like a Woman."
You did. I was there.
Purple Witness.
I love it. I love it.
I was going to say that's the original trans anthem, isn't it?
It is now, I guess.
No, Hell on Hills is the grand anthem.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that one too often. That's a surprise one that I do every
That's
once
what I feel like. No, sorry, I won't follow that chain of thought. There's ladies present. That's a great song though, because it can actually have two completely, utterly different meanings, depending upon who's singing it.
And hello, chat. I'm being lazy and not typing in chat. So hello, everybody in chat.
Yeah. Hey, y'all.
Mark said hi.
Hold on. Mark had a magical moment with Brie. I really don't think I want to know.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, Brie was glorious.
It was great.
She was just glorious.
I am now a fan of Brie Larson. I can say that Brie Larson just impressed me last night.
Josh was like, I don't know if I can ever do Brie again because I have outbreed Brie.
That was the pinnacle of Brie.
And he's like, I'm done. That may have been Brie's swan song. Who knows?
Brie's not gone.
I hope not. I can't lose my sensei. I can't do that. My Brie sensei.
No. So.
Anyway.
Boom, boom, boom.
So how was everybody's weekend? We all seem a little deflated today.
Yeah, it was quiet.
a little-
I've just been working over the weekend. That's all. I've been working on the channel, been working at home, putting all my Halloween decorations away, which made me really sad.
Purple, I know what you mean. When you put them in their little box, you know,
Okay.
you're not going to see them for another year.
I've got
You know-
that gap now between Halloween and Christmas.
But if that's the same,
Yeah.
Christmas,
Purple,
you should get your Christmas decorations out now.
Purple, this is what you do. You leave them up till, well, you see that you guys don't have Thanksgiving. So therefore, technically in the spirit of your American cousins, you leave your Halloween decorations up till Thanksgiving. And then if you do any Christmas or Yule decorations, you put them up then after Christmas, because from Christmas until the Epiphany is when Christmas decorations stay up, supposedly. So technically, you can leave your Halloween decorations up till your bloody cousins across the pond Thanksgiving
Bloody
Day.
cousins? Is that what you called us?
Yeah, where we supposedly were nice to the Native Americans, but who knows what really happened. And you just go from there. You just go from. I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Sorry, that's not it.
Well, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. If you like Halloween that much, keep it up all year round.
Yep.
Do what you want to do. The heck with what tradition and custom is.
That's a good point.
I kept
It's
a couple down. I've got a
You can make Christmas Halloween.
ornament still.
Well, we do in fact, as you, depending upon the sensitivity of my microphone, if it sounds like I'm living in a war zone, Purple maybe had similar experience over this weekend. We do have something between Halloween and Christmas. We have two things actually, because next Sunday we're not doing a stream because in the UK that is Remembrance Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the 5th of November, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. The closest anyone's ever got to actually taken out the entire of the British establishment, 5th of November, was when a group of people who decided they didn't like the king decided they were going to blow him up. And for those of you who may not be that familiar with the story, and the fact that I'd actually literally about 3 hours ago was watching a video from an American lass, one of these Americans watching a video, another American video actually, on the 5th of November gunpowder plot. Very strange. But talk about coincidence. These guys were smuggling in, they were actually digging a tunnel under the Houses of Parliament, from a house they'd rented, under the Houses of Parliament to a cellar which was underneath the Great Hall of Westminster, which is not what House of Parliament are now. I believe it's just down the road. And they were going to pack it with gunpowder and, send the king into orbit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Take out James the First.
James I and the entire royal family, Parliament of the lot, and put, I can't remember who it was now, about a 9-year-old on the throne.
Yes, basically their own kind of puppet.
Yes.
Yes, because this was Robert Catesby, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
Catesby. But the one thing I hadn't actually known, I hadn't actually realised till I discovered, was apparently they started by digging in like something out of The Great Escape. They were digging a tunnel, and they heard they had noises. So Guy Fawkes gets sent to investigate, and he finds this little old lady who actually rents this space beneath the Palace of Westminster, because it was literally a palace, and this was an undercroft from a medieval era palace. So she was renting this space. So they rented the space, so they literally had perfect access to this space where they smuggled in gunpowder. Then the plague hit, a minor plague hit, and Parliament was put back and put back and put back. and they had to completely refill the gunpowder. Guy Fawkes, having been an explosive expert, having fought with the Spanish, had reckoned. I think he reckoned he needed 20 barrels of gunpowder. He saw the size of this thing, put in another 16. He ended up with 2.5 tons of gunpowder.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's,
there was a show a few years ago.
Wow.
I remember seeing it. And it was on, I think BBC Two did it, and they actually did a reenactment of what would have happened. Yes, Jim Sogal, that's the one. Yeah, she's good. I like her. And they did a recreation, and they reckon it would quite literally have almost literally blown the roof off the place. It would have taken out everybody if it had gone with it.
Yeah.
But
that's a lot of gunpowder, 2.5 tons.
it's a lot of gunpowder.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the dumbest thing, well, fortunately, or not as the case may be, depending on what side you're on, one of the plotters decided that they were going to warn, because there was the whole thing was it was a Catholic plot, because James I was, although James VI and first was a Catholic, he was also pro what's the word I'm looking for? Pro living together. I mean, to put this in put this in perspective, you have to remember Henry VIII had come along.
Cohabiting.
Cohabiting. Henry VIII comes along, has a disagreement. The Pope won't let him kick out his wife of 30 years. So very basically, he sets up the Church of England, which is pretty much the Catholic Church, but with Henry as the Pope. There's not a lot of difference. Then Edward VI comes along, young lad. He and his advisors are very Protestant. The Protestant Reformation's broken out. He starts pushing Protestantism. He dies early. His sister Mary comes along, and they don't call her Bloody Mary for nothing. She's the one that really starts the persecutions, burns a lot of people. The city of Lewes in Sussex has celebrations where they had 17 martyrs burnt at the stake by Mary. Then she dies, Elizabeth comes along, and Elizabeth actually tries to be something of a peacemaker again. She's Protestant, but she's not rabidly so. So you've had this within the last 30, 40 years, you've had this back and forth between Protestants and Catholics, which is why it's still, I believe to this day, the Prime Minister of England cannot be a Catholic, because a Catholic is considered to not be able to swear fealty to the Queen, because a Catholic will also have fealty to the Pope as the head of the Church. Catholic Church. That's what I understand. That's what I understand the argument is, which is why Tony Blair actually had to leave office before he converted to Catholicism. But see, you've got all this going on, but you've still got Catholic members of Parliament, etc. And somebody writes a letter to a Catholic member of Parliament or member of the Lords, I can't remember, basically saying, by the way, you might not want to attend. Just a hint. Now, unfortunately for the plotters, this chap, while he's a Catholic, he's also loyal, and he tells the king. And the king sends his guards down, and eventually they catch hold of Guy Fawkes, who's remained behind. He's worked out the maths, and he reckons he's got, I think they were saying it's the fuses, because he's an expert, he knows he needs about a foot of burning fuse, literally the sort of thing you see in the cartoons where you literally burn the fuse and run. Mm-hmm. A foot of that for an hour. So 8 foot long fuses. He's goes to light these off, and he hears noises outside. He's getting all ready to run. He's got his torch, and then he gets a call. and they discover the gunpowder. The gunpowder plot, and that's done. But it doesn't end there, and it certainly doesn't end well for Guido Fawkes in particular. He quite happily, quite proudly admits to what he was doing, but he doesn't want to name anybody else. So King James authorises some extreme measures, shall we say. Fawkes ends up about 3 inches taller, and after 2 days he finally confesses. You can actually see there are samples of his signature pretty much before he's arrested. Pretty much 2 days later. On the signature beforehand is quite clearly legible. The signature after 2 days on the rack is not so much illegible as you can barely tell it's writing. So, yeah, it's not surprising. Catesby and his mates, meanwhile, had gone up north, and they'd set up. They were going to have an uprising to coincide with the death of the king and the rest of it. That obviously doesn't happen. And eventually they end up, they get caught, they get found out, and they get caught in an ambush. They get taken down. Some of them get killed. The lucky ones get killed. The unlucky ones are questioned. It's under various degrees of torture. I'm not sure what was needed and what they needed to get, but they're all sentenced to execution.
Wow.
If anybody's actually seen, and I hasten to based on the fact I'm actually even going to touch this film, Braveheart, you might have got some idea of what the sentence still was 200 years later for hanging, drawing, and quartering. Which basically is slightly the wrong order, because the drawing bit is actually sitting on a hurdle, I think, dragged through the streets, the most unpleasant way to travel. Then you're hung till you're almost dead. Certain parts are cut off. Bits that every man tends to wince when even think about. The body is cut open, the guts are pulled out. By the way,
it got real dark real quick.
I was going to say, did I say this? And then when they're dead, the body's cut in quarters. That's when the quartering bit pulled apart, which is one reason why Mel Gibson really wouldn't even able to shout out freedom at the last second. Yeah. But that's
it makes for a good moment.
Yeah. It does. Yeah.
Well, apparently, a lot of this commemorations of that made its way around the colonies, because I was reading that, like in the American colonies, as far as south as Charleston, South Carolina, there were commemorations, and they were not large scale, but there were reports of events, and what apparently there were some commemorations leading up to the Revolution, but of course at that point, after the Stamp Act, the Americans rallied and rebellion. There was more of a unifying issue for that. But I also read that other colonies, Australia, Canada, there were indications that that it spread outside of England.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only that, but it. No. I was going to say it started something else, but that's me getting confused with the other historical thing I saw today, which was a history buff's take on Last of the Mohicans, which is completely and utterly irrelevant. I told you I'm a professional. I just
You're
didn't
talking
say
the
what.
film? The film?
Yeah. Okay. But so that was literally the sidetrack my mind just tied together. But yes, as Shane pointed out, interestingly, Kit Harington is a descendant of one of the conspirators, and he actually played Catesby a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't until I saw that in this, and I'm sure both Shane and Jim saw probably quite recently as well.
Mhm.
I know we saw, Mark. We saw, Mark. We saw. Don't make us jealous. But yeah, and yeah, it did. And it is. As I say, I mean, to this day, we have this big. We have a big tradition of fireworks, bonfires, etc., celebrating the fact that, as someone once said, someone once described Guy Fawkes as the only man ever to enter Parliament with honest intentions.
Yes, that's the thing that always kind of stuck with me. Are we celebrating because he tried or because he was foiled?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, theoretically, because he was foiled, but yeah.
Well, what I read about it with the American colonies, it sounded more like they were at least over here, they were commemorating him because it was called Pope Day over here, back to the conflict with the Catholic Church, and it seemed like it was more of a rebellious, like we're going to celebrate the guy for what he did, trying to overthrow the government.
Yeah. A lot of Americans remember him that way. Like my husband, one of his favorite movies in the world is V. And that is so Guy
on
Fawkes
Friday.
heavy.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And he got, oh God, I don't know how long it's been, maybe a year, 2 years ago. It was, oh, hang on. Nope, you can't get on my keyboard. No, Smudgy. We've got
Hi, Smudgy.
Smudgy, everyone says hey. Hey, honey, he might
if that cat answers, I'm going to leave the chat.
I'm ready for it. Let the cat talk. Let the cat talk.
We got
Paige says hi.
Commemorative. It was a box, and it had the comic in it or graphic novel. I don't know which one it is, but that was in there, the full one, and then it had a life-size V mask.
Yes, I know that set. That's such a good set.
Mm-hmm. And when he was cremated, he's in. Sorry, y'all, but I got to tell you this to tell you the rest of the story. He's in just a square, like a wood box, and y'all, that mask. This may sound irreverent, but trust me, he would have loved it. It fits perfectly right on the front of his urn. So there he is with the V mask on. And I told my parents that, and they were kind of like, and I said, trust me, he would have loved it. He would have loved it because he loved that movie so much. Because those were the kind of principles that he stood behind, not blowing up Parliament, but
standing
freedom
up to tyranny.
and exactly standing up to tyranny. That was kind of his bread and butter. So. He's got a V mask on.
I'm actually talking about that tomorrow because I watched the film on Friday.
Yay! Good.
So that's one of the subjects I'll be covering.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I mean no disrespect or anything like that. V mask. Are you talking about from the movie V for Vendetta, or
yes.
What are you? Yes. I'm sitting here thinking of the 1980s V TV series. So sorry about that.
No. V for Vendetta. It's
okay. That mask. Right. I know the mask now. Okay.
Nothing to do with eating hamsters. I assure you.
No. Okay. All right.
No.
Just our alligator-looking people. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just want to look for.
No.
The reptilians have not invaded yet. They're still working on it, Dad, man.
Dude, hey, go Gators.
That's not what David Icke says.
I was going to say, yes, David Icke.
More Gators.
Not that show. No, God, he would be like, get that shit off my urn. No.
I quite like V, despite the fact that the whole premise was absolutely ridiculous.
It didn't really go anywhere. We kept expecting it. We enjoyed it, but we kept expecting it to kind of come on. You've got some traction.
I suspect.
Where are you going with this? And it never did. It never did. So we're like,
it's more science fiction, fantasy at that time. On the heels of the Star Wars movies, 2 of the 3 Star Wars are out. You had Star Trek out, and you had something made for TV where people didn't have to leave their homes. There was so few TV viewing options back then because you didn't have cable. Was in the very early days, but you wanted a TV series to go somewhere, and it kind of just stopped.
Well, they redid it. They redid it in the 2000s.
But it was worse, I think, from what I heard.
That's the one that we saw. That was the one that I'm talking about.
You're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole point. Mark Singer, the Beastmaster, was in that movie. Give him
Yeah.
that show. Give him
Well-
props.
Mark Singer,
Yeah.
Jane Badler,
Who am I?
Jane
Say
Badler
that.
from the remake of
Beast
Mission
Master.
Impossible. It's a Mark Singer.
Yeah.
For if people aren't horror movie fans, that's probably where people know Freddy Krueger from.
Robert England.
Robert Englund, thank you. I've forgotten his first name. He was in that.
Yes, he was Willie.
Yep, he was really. But I think it started off as there was a mini series, or then a not quite so mini series. There was V the Final Battle, and I think, and then there was a TV series. I got a suspicion it was another one of these ones that may have been cancelled a bit early, a bit rushed finish. But not that I liked it, but I've got all three DVDs about 3 feet away from me on my pile. Yeah, that was because it had. I mean, the reason for it, if you've not seen it, there's one particular scene which is quite iconic for the special effects of a side review of one of them literally stretching their jaw out the way. Well, yes, Michael Ironside. I've completely forgotten about Michael Ironside, Shane. Thank you. Anything Michael Ironside is in immediately goes up by at least 3 points. But there's
Whoa. Except for Highlander 2. We don't count Highlander 2.
There was
Highlander
no
2.
Highlander 2.
No.
Okay. As long as we agree
Nope.
with
Sorry.
He was also in Total Recall. Also.
He was. Yes.
Who was he in Total Recall?
that. The chick with the 3 boobs.
Yeah, go back and look at it. He was like the king of the bad guys. He was like the enforcer guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was so long.
Ex-
Mark,
Except
you broke my brain. You broke
Starship,
my brain.
Starship
Like-
Troopers and V, he was a good guy in both. But don't get me started on Starship Troopers.
Yes,
Oh,
but they
gosh,
also
what a
gave
movie.
us the hand puppet baby that looked terrible.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll stick with Total Recall for it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the thing was they had this, like I say, I mean for the 80s was quite amazing, where quite similar to the groundbreaking effect of American Werewolf in London, where they got a profile and literally you see one of them, they actually pick up a live hamster or I can't remember now what it was, guinea pig, some sort of rodent keeps it back by the toe, and they literally, the idea is they're eating it, and literally you see the jaw stretched the way the way a snake's jaw can actually stretch, and it stretches along, and they pop it's, I mean, for the time, it's really quite amazing special effects.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was, as I was saying, it started for a sort of 3-parter, I think, and then a mini series to follow that one up with rather silly bits and pieces in it, including a scene of them spreading the poison from balloons, which was yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hot air balloons, and watch it again. And
There have been crazier ideas, in movies like the Happening, which a lot of us call the Crappening, because Mother Nature just kills everybody randomly. So
Yeah.
the oxygen just kills you. So there have been worse. Balloons, I can deal with that. Balloons.
Well, that's the silly thing, I think, for in a way, if you look back on it, is that the whole plan basically was to come down to Earth, to the bottom of a gravity well, a large gravity well, and steal our water. They also ate. I'm never actually certain if you can call them cannibals or not, because I'm never really certain if cannibals refers only to eating your own species. Because, of course, we don't know of any other sentient species that we're aware of. So is the aliens eating humans cannibalism or not? But that was a...
Yeah.
Like they but coming down to the bottom of a gravity well, having to go through all the expense of tricking and conquering the humans to steal water, when all they needed to do was go to the nearest asteroid belt in their own solar system and get all the water from the asteroid belts. Things like this. So it has some really, really odd basic ideas, but then so many things do.
Hey, it was the 1970s and 80s. We were desperate for entertainment. So
yeah, I agree.
you go with the best thing you got. When Battlestar Galactica footage is being reused in other remade fake sci-fi movies, you were limited on what you had available. So,
and in fact,
under the charter of sci-fi, I cannot discuss Battlestar Galactica because Louise and I are in the same chat area. Therefore, I will not say anything else about Battlestar.
Well, I mean, Shane's got an excellent point there as well.
Oh my god!
That reminds me, there is a point in that which actually always reminds me of a similar scene in, I think it's the first Thor movie. In the Thor movie, where Loki has come down and there's all that crowd and everybody kneeling around him, and some little old guy gets up and stands up.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene in V, because V was set, I think, in about the 80s, so there were people who had survived through the Second World War. There's a scene in there where you've got some kids at the end, which actually gives the whole series its name, the whole reason for the series.
I'm trying to
Bray painting graffiti on some posters of the aliens are our friends. And this little old man, I think he's supposed to be a Jewish old man. He comes on and he grabs one of them by the hand. And he doesn't stop him. He directs him and he puts in one down stripe left to right, one right to left, and it becomes a V. And he says, "Do you understand? V for victory. Do you understand?"
Yeah.
And that's what gives the whole. That's why the whole series is called V. But that scene again, it always reminds me, and I've always have to double check that it's not the same flipping actor that plays that. He's not that plays that guy and plays the guy in Thor, because there's such powerful scenes. Having brought that down that low, let's find something a little bit lighter.
Okay. I absolutely agree, and it's definitely a film that I always recommend people. I think as far as comic book adaptations go, it is one of the better ones. It's right up there with The Crow.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. And they both, even though they're totally different stories, they both have that same feel. They have that anti-hero. He's really a hero.
Yes.
I mean, he may not be doing necessarily good things, but we don't care, because in the end, he is doing something good. So I agree completely.
Yeah.
But anyway, what else going on, y'all?
There's the funky looking people back in the 80s though, with those gator costumes. When the face came off, I remember that was a big thing. The first reveal of what they looked like, it was like really creepy.
I haven't seen the 80s one. I that's when you mentioned it. I thought you were talking about the one that they recently did, but I didn't realize it was a redo.
It was like we had three major networks. We had NBC, CBS, ABC. You had PBS, the National Public Broadcasting, and I think Fox 30 or the Fox Network TV was starting out. So you really, when it came out, it was like a big deal. Everybody went home at night to watch it. It was the event of the week. So
I believe it.
Yep.
Not a lot of choices.
No, I know. Well, Colin, I'm still stuck on Colin's knowledge of history. If I had Channel Colin, I'd have you on all the time to talk history, because, man, your knowledge is amazing, because you talk about the packing the gunpowder. I think of an event in the American Civil War where they did it on a siege, and they packed gunpowder under and explosives under a fortification, and when they blew it up, they had a big old crater. It was called the Battle of the Crater, and unfortunately, the guys didn't go around it; they went into it.
Yeah,
and that was a very bad tragedy.
That's true. That wasn't only. I mean, that wasn't only a gunpowder era tactic. Most castles that were besieged, if they fell, most of them fell because of treachery from within, or because they undermined the walls. And what they did is they dug tunnels underneath the walls, the corner in particular of a castle. I mean, you're talking a massive great stone thing, right? No gunpowder. So what they did, they undercut it. They put in oil and tar covered wood and things, and they set fire to it. So basically, the whole thing collapsed because the whole ground collapsed under it.
Right.
So undermining is the thing. But gunpowder comes along, makes it easier.
Yeah.
So
well, in our Civil War, it was more earthen forts. You know, we had more earthen forts. They would dig under it, but you know, gunpowder could blow up for easier earth. But that dealing with all that mortar, cement, and all that, that's interesting. How you'd have to do that, and all the time and labor. Could you imagine having to do all that work to get there?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Shane Nolan. Yeah. Battle of Crater, the Siege of Petersburg.
I can tell you that half of Mobile was that downtown Mobile was leveled by a small warehouse magazine storage after the Civil War, where they were storing gunpowder after the federal government was storing gunpowder after the Civil War, and it basically leveled off downtown Mobile, and they had to rebuild it.
Wow. Yeah. You get all that stuff in one place. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think if I remember, I think until the atomic bombs, I think the biggest, the loudest sound in history was, I believe it was Krakatoa, but the loudest man-made sound in history was, I think it was an ammunition ship that exploded in, I believe, World War One, but I could be completely wrong about that. But it was literally a packed ammunition ship that just blew, and it was so loud. It was supposedly the loudest sound caused by man, rather than
really.
nature.
I thought the Saturn IV rocket and the space shuttle were the loudest sounds created by man, because I've heard the space shuttle take off before. It is loud.
Is that the Halifax explosion, Colin?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
In Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah, but yes, as I say, Mark. I mean, I think the loudest one I think was Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well,
so up until then, but yeah,
I'm looking at something now that said it was 250 decibels. NASA's highest was 204 with the first stage of the Saturn V rocket.
Jeez.
So
yeah.
Speaking of Saturn V,
Krakatoa is supposed to be the loudest sound ever. So, and just think, all I thought of Krakatoa was from SpongeBob. Jeez, it was a real thing. I learned something today. Colin, these stuff.
I'll tell you something else as well. Whoever directed Krakatoa east of Java was no good at geography, because Krakatoa is actually to the west of Java.
Oh, okay.
There was a film called Krakatoa East of Java, which was about exactly that, about the explosion of Krakatoa. But apparently, if you look on the map, it's the other way around. Java's to the east.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and Colin, to your point,
people.
Colin, to your point, these people that produce TV shows, movies, and stuff, they don't pay attention to details like that. They don't understand that there are people like you or me that will go out there and research it and look for those facts. That you say it's here, but really it's here. And a lot of people look for those details and connecting to a movie or whatever they produce. And it just attention to detail. Attention to detail is what I call it.
Yeah. It's what makes good storytelling. I've oddly enough, I've recently started watched a few videos from a lady who, I'm still not certain if she's English or American, where she's based, but she's a dress historian, and she specialises in everything from about the Victorian era up until the first part of until World War One. But she's also done other things like there was a video I saw recently where she was made. She actually got from a medieval painting pattern and handmade a medieval dress, and I think she said it cost $400 in. I'm trying to remember. She said no. She looked at it and she worked it out. Mainly because she was actually someone in company in China would knock it off in polyos and selling it for $45 a time. But she was saying, and the accuracy to get, and she reckoned it was she reckoned it was 150 hours, no, 100 hours, but $15 and so she reckoned the labour alone at minimum wage would have been $1,500 for her time, plus all the parts and all the rest of it.
To do
but
it.
she's like one of she's done a couple of videos about the accuracy of historical costume in historical things and the rest of it as well. So again, where they actually pay attention to the point of getting the right sort of buttons on dresses, the right outline and fit for ladies and gents costume from medieval and Renaissance and the like, and even up to the Jane Austen era and that sort of thing. So yeah, you're right, Dad, man. It's the attention to detail that sometimes makes.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know about you guys, but if a movie gets something that I know that's not accurate, or they take a little liberty, like something small like buttons or a uniform, and it's out of place, out of time, I end up getting focused so much on that and not the rest of the movie that they're doing.
I agree. Like zippers where there were no zippers, that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're gonna do it, be as accurate as possible. Because it's the whole thing.
Or you randomly throw this person that's historically not at an event in there just for effect. It's like, wait, that's not real. So I find it distracting. I'm like the squirrel, because it's like I go off on that tangent. So.
Vikings. Sorry, I didn't mention that TV series at all. Honest. Yeah, I mean the thing is, I agree. It's weird. You can see it. I mean, I've got no problem with you're making a historical drama, and even with something like Vikings, where they're taking one and they're amalgamating some characters into one, perhaps, or they're amalgamating events from 200 or 300 years into a period of time, just because it's within the spirit, and that's okay. They're making it, and they're making the effort. But as I said, I mean, it's the thing is like, it's when what irritates me particularly is when you get things obviously and clearly. I mean, there are any number of reasons why quite a large number of medieval historians detest Braveheart.
Hey, don't talk about Mel like that.
Mel's
That's only one of them. But there's if you're interested in historical accuracy, films, etc., there's a couple of them. There's a guy called History Buff Channel, and in fact, he's the one who literally today or yesterday dropped one on Last of the Mohicans. But he starts off. He gets about 10 seconds into the start of the talk of Braveheart, which of course is supposed to be historical film. And it gets 5-10 seconds in before he loses his rag at the first inaccuracy for the dates. That's the sort of thing that I find irritating. Is not so much I'm a reenactor. I understand historical anomalies. The most obvious historical anomaly of all is no one will be able to understand any reenactor during a period from about 1600 or earlier, because you would not understand the language you were speaking. So you've got that immediately. Obviously, storytelling is required. You've got there are differences, materials. That you've got health and safety these days as well. We've got safer practice. So you understand it. There are some things, and as long as they're trying to tell a good story, and it's
Mhm.
you know, if it's something like
Yeah.
Pillars of the Earth, for example, where it's telling a story based around real events, but you're bringing in people and you're bringing in people who didn't exist, but you're telling the story. That's okay. So it's when, you know, as you say, you get people who definitely don't belong there. You know, I mean, the prime example is again, he's Braveheart again, I'm afraid, where he's supposed to have, where they suggest that he has an affair with. No, that must be. I'm trying to work it out. That must be supposedly, not Eleanor. Flip page. Edward II's wife. So he's suggesting that Edward III is actually the only problem is, at the time William Wallace was executed, said princess was 9 years old.
Yeah, so Isabella.
Isabella, that's it. Thank you. I can remember this.
Yeah.
There's lots of Isabellas and lots of Eleanors.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Matildas, obviously, as well.
Bunch
But
of Matildas as well. Yes, I was watching. Yes, I was watching. Yes, I saw History with R&R's video with that lady who's got the same name as my oldest niece, talking about the anarchy. Yep, I saw that one. Yep, lots of Matildas.
Although, okay, I get that they're telling a story and they're getting the information out there, but what bugs me is like the show The Tudors. What the hell? Could they not find a 6'2" redheaded English guy to play, you know, Henry? Could they not? I mean, that the stories of him and his wives and everything that goes on, it's juicy and salacious enough that they don't have to add stuff and they don't have to swap things around. They can just tell the whole story and they can cast him. I'm sorry, that's my bugbear when there are historical figures and they cast them with people that look nothing like him.
But I was a little hard on the other stuff earlier, but there can be good liberties taken in some of these movies. One of the scenes that I remember from the movie Gettysburg, the Civil War battle, is something that never occurred in real life. But what happened was, do you remember the scene when Robert E. Lee's riding out on the horse and then he's mobbed by the soldiers and they start shouting and cheering and the hat? That never happened. But the reenactors that were on the field at the time, it happened in the moment. They went crazy, surrounded him and all. And the director just said, film it. And so that's an impromptu shot of something that never happened, but it actually didn't hurt the movie. It actually
I agree.
I gave more of an emotional impact to the viewers watching the movie, and you know the soldiers' love for their general. So that can be. There can be.
That can enhance it.
But I agree with you though too. If you got a 6-foot redhead, why not use a 6-foot redhead? You know.
Thank you. The short little hawkish guy, and I'm like, you're not Henry VIII. I couldn't get lost in it. I did watch it. I was like, okay. But it did not make, especially when they did Wolf Hall, and they cast Damian Lewis as Henry VIII. I was like, there you go. That I can see as Henry VIII. He was perfect.
People forget that he was a good-looking guy. You always think of Henry VIII as, you know, this big bloated king, which he was later on in life. But before that, he was incredibly fit. You know, he looked after himself before he became what he became.
Exactly. They said he stood above all other men. He was a great stature. He had great legs. He had great. He was an athlete. He had that, you know, that golden red hair, those piercing eyes. I mean, he was the golden king. And don't cast a little hawkish guy, you know, little dark hair. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, listen, it's like Tom Cruise playing any action role. You know, this little short guy going beating everybody up in the world.
If he had been cast as Henry VIII, I still would be bitching.
You might as well at that point. I mean, you see Jack Reacher, that thing. It's like that's like you might as well have Gimli the dwarf attacking everybody. At least he's tougher, you know. But anyway, I got to run out now.
Okay,
I wanted to say thank you. By the way, Colin,
In
Colin,
chat,
if I got with you
everybody
or
throw out
Mark.
happy birthday to Dad Man's daughter. Everything
Yes,
chat.
Ninja.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
Ninja.
Happy
22nd
birthday.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, Archer, Colin, thank you. I know if I got with you,
Welcome, mate.
Mark, and apparently Shane Nolan out there, I'd never get done talking history. So, but Armin and Mark, I know y'all are casual, so I see you all the time by. And Colin, you did great, and always an honor to appear with you, Purple Valkyrie. It's a
good
pleasure.
to see you
So,
again. Always.
well, y'all have a good evening and enjoy the rest of the stream.
Yeah.
Take
Right,
care.
Have fun. Y'all have
Bye-bye.
fun.
And Zax, I was very definitely deliberately trying to ignore that. That
Yeah.
never happened. Channel 5 can go
Suck it.
go back
Sorry.
5 years and completely ignore that.
They gambled
That-
and they lost, so
They
that's
did.
fine by me.
Because there is no reason for it.
Yes.
You have what the people look like, or at least you have what we believe they look like. You've got
Yeah.
historical paintings, you've got descriptions, whatever. So try and suss it out.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, well, we're going to cast this person and then expect everyone to go, ooh, yay, that's who they are. When you've got paintings and it's like,
Yeah.
one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. I
It
can.
just drives me nuts.
I mean, when I was a kid, my fascination was more Greece and Rome. Myths, I think ancient Rome. I could still sit back and I could still watch and enjoy Hercules and Xena, and I could completely ignore the fact that within her eventually extended by 50 years in suspended animation lifetime, there Xena and Gabrielle met Helen of Troy, who, if she existed somewhere around 1300 BCE, and King Arthur, who was about 500 AD.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? They tout that as a total complete fantasy. It's it's a mythological show. There's no pretense that any of that is supposed to be historical drama.
Jason the Argonauts happened.
exactly. Yeah.
Jason the Argonauts happened. It was filmed. It exists. Leave it to me to be the
Oh
goofy
my
boy.
god. I don't know. That's just that's a that's a pet peeve of mine. If you're going to do historical drama, do it. Do a historical drama, but make it, as accurate as you can, because it's already there. The information's already there. You don't have to think too hard.
Yep.
But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys, I am going to have to love you and leave you as well. Unfortunately, I am going to hop off and relax for the rest of the evening.
Don't blame
My
me.
darling.
You sound as if you need it.
Enjoy your evening, Purple.
Thank you, guys.
See you tomorrow
Seriously,
afternoon.
thank you for having me.
Hold on, before you
Right.
leave. Before you leave, I have to give you the customary sign off. Hold on just a second. Here we go. And nobody look but Purple.
Mark, your kissy face is so cute.
I'm looking forward to getting an autographed copy of that picture.
Yep.
Well, it could be arranged for you and Arwen. It could definitely be arranged.
Aw, thank you, honey.
Definitely can be arranged. We'll talk about it later, Purple. I'll get your address and we'll get it to you.
Okay.
We'll get you not that crappy Fortnite one that somebody else did.
Oh no, that's the one I want. That's the
Okay.
one I want.
Okay.
I want the Fortnite too. That's the one I want.
That's the variant cover.
Oh God. The die cut prism cover of Mark.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hell yeah.
But Purple, go.
Yeah.
Go enjoy your evening.
Yeah.
I will. Seriously, guys, thank you so much for having me.
See
It's
you
always a
tomorrow.
pleasure to get to jump on with you.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you in the morning, guys. Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God.
And then there were 3.
And then there were 3, and you're outnumbered again.
The South shall rise again. You're
Yes,
about
it will.
You're surrounded by really country accents.
One of these days, I'm going to have to. I believe I pointed this out to Eris, one of the early streams, that when you actually look at a globe or a map, a lot of us are further south than you. The England, because we normally think of a map as an incorrect, as a Mercator projection. If you actually look at a map of the world, Britain does not point straight up. Britain points at about a 15 to 20 degree angle to the right, whereas we normally think of Scotland as straight ahead of us, and the Isle of Wight straight down the bottom. And because of that, we're actually a lot further south than we think. And although you south, as in the southern states of America, fine, that's the southern states of North America, but you're still quite far north. And to slightly misquote Christopher Eccleston's doctor, lots of planets have a south.
North.
Oh, it'd be interesting to meet some of those places south of those planets. Do they like grits too? Do they take the skin off their chicken? I hope so.
Well, when you think about it, most of the land mass the majority of the land mass is in the northern hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about the equator goes through the middle of South America, of Central America. When you think about it.
Yeah.
It goes through Africa. So about a quarter of Africa is north of the equator. The biggest bit of Africa.
Well, where I live is considered subtropical. I think Arwen sneaks into it too. I'm not quite sure. I know actually she probably doesn't, but
I'm above the gnat line, so
you wouldn't
anything
be
below the gnat line is considered the subtropical. But there is literally a gnat line. I know in Georgia for sure. It is a line of gnats, and everyone laughs and they think it's a joke. It's not. It's like once you get to a certain point south of Georgia within the state, the gnats get super bad, like majorly bad, and that is called. There is almost an actual demarcation of gnats, and anything beyond that is where you start getting, the moss in the trees, and everything gets hotter. The seasons have less of an impact. So I'm maybe about 3 hours north of the gnat line.
And I mean, also we have a secondary way of breathing down here too. We have gills that nobody knows about because. Oh, and Chris Persa does have a point. He was born in Sydney, Australia, so therefore he is more southern than either of us.
There you go. There you go.
So you can't get much more southern than that unless you were born in Antarctica.
That is true. Yes. That is so true.
Although interestingly, which I believe is supposed to happen relatively soon historically and certainly geographically, the poles flip. I'm wondering, does that actually mean that we will all suddenly be in the southern hemisphere and Australia will be in the northern hemisphere if the south and north magnetic poles flip?
Well, nobody's been alive to experience it, so therefore
no
we'll have to
idea.
find that out.
No, as far as I'm aware, I believe that it's a geological event, and I'm not aware that when it does happen, it will have any long-lasting major effect other than north and south compasses and any other magnetic similar effect will be reversed. I just wonder
it would depend also on the magnetic blah 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 blah. The magnetic field around the Earth would shift a little bit, so yes, it would have somewhat of an effect.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if that means that theoretically what's now the north will become the south of the planet and the south will become the north. Because if that's what the poles are, how do you find north and south?
Yeah.
Cats will love dogs. The world will be changed. I mean, well, when they kicked on the large hadron collector, whatever that collider, that
Mhm.
changed everything anyway. Because after that point, the world went crazy anyway. So we're stuck there.
Mhm. Yep, that's about the case. Oh well.
I'm seriously wondering if that's what kicked us into clown world.
We're already in clown
Large hadron.
world.
No, it's a large hadron collider kicked us into clown world.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, but
No idea.
I'm
But-
gonna have to go in just a minute as well. I saw Arwen had to leave.
Yeah,
in a
I
minute,
have to go too.
Well,
we could just wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. We'd be going for over the hours of the normal.
I'm cooking tonight too. Therefore, I don't know what I'm cooking, but I've been told I'm cooking dinner tonight.
That sounds good. That sounds good. And I'm hungry. I need to eat something. I don't know what I'm eating, but I gotta eat.
Some fried chicken skin and some iced tea.
No. Blech. I like my chicken naked with no skin. It's just gross. I don't like it's the texture of it. Even when it's done really crunchy, I still can feel the skin. I don't know. I don't like it. It's gross.
Weird. And Chris Persa answered your question, Colin. He said the electromagnetic effect, it wouldn't change the nomenclature in the short term because it's already ingrained that anything below geographically is southern.
Yeah, I kind of thought that would be the case, but I was just being a little bit linguistically pedantic.
It would probably have more to do with the magnetic field around the Earth and how strong it was protecting what and where and when and how, all that good stuff. Arwen disappeared, but she's got to go bye-bye.
I'm sorry. My kids came in and they wanted to say something. I was like,
okay.
But yeah, I have to go, y'all. So.
Well, in that case, guys, I mean, thank you very much for coming on, and thank you also to Purple and Dabman. Thank you guys in the chat as well for joining us. It's been an interesting blast again as usual. We are, as I said earlier, we are not on next weekend because in the UK it is Remembrance Sunday, which is we split. I believe it's your Veterans Day. Is it? We have an intriguing split. We have a split on the 11th of November. Whatever day of the week that is, the 11th of November is Armistice Day to celebrate the ending of the First World War at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month, GMT. So we got the right one. And I know there were a few others. I know Rob and History of the R&R are doing one at 11 a.m. I think CST. I think whichever time it is that Rob normally does his at. So on the Sunday is Remembrance Sunday when we have our church services, etc. So out of respect for that, we're not actually doing anything next week. The weekend after that, I'm not entirely certain, but we do certainly we're working on doing our cult shows of the 1970s. We've got a surprising number of those came out already. So that will be our next big thing. So thank you all for coming in and staying, guys. Have a great evening or great rest of the day wherever you are. And I'm going to, if I can work out how to do this and get this right. I say get this right. Yeah, exactly. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.